we are recording.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to today's episode. I'm so glad to have you guys.
Me too. We are already on episode 5. This is crazy.
This is crazy. I'm so excited. I feel very accomplished.
Yeah.
So, how has your week been?
My week has been pretty good. I've been tracking the shipment on my cinema camera that I had bought. Mentioned last episode, I believe. It finally shipped today, which is nice.
That is nice. As I said, I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. I get to see you tomorrow. I'm very excited. So that's a plus.
I know. I'm very excited for that.
Me too. It's been
a
a while.
lot of fun stuff. Oh yeah. It's been almost a month. Maybe a month.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we're long distance, so we don't get to see each other all the time. So that really sucks, but we get to do stuff like this together, so it kind of just makes it worth it, you know?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. It makes it all more rewarding.
But yeah, besides that, my week has gone pretty good. A little bit stressed out these past few days, just trying to prepare before I leave, get my schoolwork done, get everything else done. So besides that, I'm good though.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
But should we move on to today's topic? We
Yes,
have a pretty
please.
exciting one. Today's topic is a pretty good one. We got some of our craziest work stories.
So I would just like to start out with kind of my work experience. I've been working since I turned 16. So right when that happened in 2015, I got a job and I've been working customer service jobs ever since. And let me tell you, that has started so many crazy conversations with people. I have a laundry list of actually insane things that have happened to me in my retail experience, in my customer service experience, and all that jazz. But what about you, David?
I cannot relate. I started work when I was 18.
Wow, you're privileged.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My first job was actually joining the military. That was my first ever formal job. I guess I had a bunch of little side jobs like pulling weeds and things like that for people, but that I never received like a W-2. That was all under the counter, or under the table, under the counter. What the heck?
Good for you, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taxation is theft.
But yeah, so I started in the military. I have some pretty crazy stories from boot camp, but why don't you kick us off with one of your stories?
Okay, so to kind of ease into the stories today, here's one that it's not too crazy, but it was just so uncalled for. So I was working as a hostess at a popular restaurant in the area, and I was just minding my own business, being a hostess, taking people to their table, sparking up conversation, and this couple comes in, and they were dressed really nicely, so I thought maybe they went to a wedding or whatever. So I just sparked a conversation, the typical like, oh, how are you guys?
Right.
And let me tell you, the silence was deafening. They both just like stared at me, and they were like,
oh no.
Yeah, they were like, we just left a funeral.
Oh no.
I was just like,
that's terrible.
I'm like, excuse me, bitch, what do I say to that? Like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, what? Like, they were kind of offended by the question. Like, ma'am, how was I supposed to know? Oh my God.
Uncalled for them to be offended. Yeah, there's no way you knew that. That's, ooh.
I was just silent as I walked up to the table. I was like, I'm so sorry. And I just walked to the table in silence, and that was that.
Oh my gosh.
It was very awkward. I didn't even know what to do. I was like, okay.
So when you served them food, was it you just like give them it and be like, There you go. Bye.
No, I was a hostess, so all I had to do
Oh,
was go to
gotcha.
the table and like give them their menus, and that was it.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. So at least you didn't have to deal. Maybe the next people had to deal with the same thing.
Oh no, that would be so awful. I
Yeah.
like literally, and that's not even the first time like I've had an experience with funeral goers. Like I don't know what it is about funerals that makes people hungry, but they're like, yeah, it's time to go out to eat. So there was this other time where I went into work that day around probably about 3 o'clock, and I was kind of hungry. So
Mhm.
I asked one of my coworkers, because she just got off the clock, if she would go run down to Panda Express for me and get me some food. She's like, yeah, whatever, okay. So I just give her my card and I tell her my order. Um, I got mushroom chicken.
Ooh.
That'll come up later. Yeah.
Yeah.
And literally, it will come up later.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I was like really hungry and she brought it back and I just like scarfed it down because she came a little bit after my shift started. But around 3 o'clock, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know that's like not really a busy time. So it's usually when like the shifts like start and like end because not a lot
Mhm.
of people are coming in. So I like scarfed down my food really quick so I wouldn't eat in front of guests, and things are going good. But probably about an hour or two later, I started getting like super thirsty. And
Interesting.
I didn't really think anything of it, but we technically weren't allowed to do this, but I got a cup from the back. I drank literally probably 7 or 8 cups of water. I was
Oh
so
my.
thirsty. Yeah, and I just didn't realize. I'm like, oh, maybe there was just a lot of sodium in my meal.
Right, right.
So I just keep trucking along, and 8 o'clock rolls around, and I'm starting to feel like kind of delirious. Like people were asking me questions and I was kind of just like staring at them and I didn't really comprehend what they were saying.
Oh
And
no.
I felt so out of it and I just like slowly eased into that and I was just like, something's not right. Like I feel really weird right now. So I keep going, like pushing through my shift or whatever. And let me just say,
Mhm.
this restaurant closes at 10 o'clock and I was not the closer, but I was going to be there till closing, and like right when closing hit, I could leave. So it gets to like 9:30 and I'm like, I don't feel like sick. I just feel like so
Very
out of
off.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt very off. And I'm still like chugging down water and nobody's really coming in. So I asked the manager if I can leave and she's like, no, you're supposed to be here till 10. I'm like, okay, like no problem, whatever. So literally 9:50 rolls around and I'm sweeping the front because there was a lot of stuff on the floor of this
Mhm.
restaurant,
Yeah.
if you catch my drift. So we were like starting to sweep and this guy comes in the front door. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like absolute garbage. Like I'm starting to feel like sick. So like my stomach's starting to hurt. And he's like, "Hey, can we get a table for 10?" This is like 10 minutes before we leave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, we just came from a funeral." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Cuz like
Another funeral.
we were literally about to close. So I was just like, "Okay." And then people literally like after he came in, people literally start pouring into the restaurant. There was probably about 50 people in that restaurant. They just like keep pouring in the door. And they're kind of being rude. Like they're like, "Yeah, well, we just left a funeral, so I mean, we need to eat. Us people need to eat." I'm like, "Okay."
The ones that are alive.
Yeah, I know. And they're all just like, I don't remember his name, but they're like, Rip Johnny, we miss you, bro." Like, it was it's
Just
very
those kind
weird.
of
Like,
people.
yes. Yeah, I'm just like, rest in peace, my guy. But I mean, would Johnny really want you coming in 10 minutes before closing on
That's
his
messed up.
behalf? It is messed up. I didn't say that to them, though. I was just like, really, though? So at this point, I was like sweeping, and my manager like screams at me, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you still sweeping? We need to put tables together right now, or whatever." And in my head, I'm like, why are we accepting them? We are literally about to close. Like, we literally have put everything away. Why are we taking... It ended up being 75 people, dude.
75? And they set a table for 10?
Yeah, the guy set a table for 10, and then, like, another person came in. They're like, we need a table for 15. And, like, all these people started pouring in. They're, like, coming from this guy's funeral. So they just wanted all the tables pushed together so they could all talk.
That's insane.
Exactly.
How long were they there?
Dude, I don't know, which is kind of weird because it was, like, almost 10 o'clock. So I'm like, how late was this funeral?
Yeah, exactly.
But, literally right after my manager yelled at me for, like, sweeping or whatever, I was like, my stomach was like, and I was like, oh no. So I ran into the bathroom and I sat there for a second and I pulled my pants down because I thought I was gonna, like, explosively shit all in the toilet. So I was like, I was preparing myself. I was hoping it would just pass and just, like, shoot out of me like the fucking Exorcist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and it just starts coming up my throat and I'm like, oh no. So my pants are halfway down my ass and I'm just, like, blowing chunks in the toilet.
Oh.
No. It was so miserable. I'm like, no. I literally puked for, like, a minute straight. And let me tell you, that was the best feeling I have ever felt. That sounds, like, weird, but I was feeling, like, so sick and so off. Like, right after I finished puking, I, like, wipe my mouth and I sit up and I'm like, I could hike Mount Everest right now. Like, I feel so good.
I love when that happens. Well, I don't love when I have to throw up, but that feeling of relief, that's just...
Oh. And I never really get sick like that. That was literally the last time I threw up, and that was 2018. So I've been very lucky. So I don't throw up very often, but that night literally just shook me to my core. And on top of that, I went to throw out the trash from my Panda Express, and I threw away my debit card.
Oh no!
I know.
That's the worst.
It was awful. That was such an awful night for me, dude.
No. Did you have to cancel the card?
Yeah. And I had to wait for another one to come in.
Yeah. Ooh. That's rough.
It really is, dude. So tell me some of your stories. I've just went on a rant about mine. I need to hear some of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to work for Nabisco. This was after I got back from boot camp in the military. I had started my first semester of college, and I was probably this was probably the second semester of college, and I was, again, working for Nabisco. I went from store to store based on my schedule, and I would just stock shelves with Nabisco product, being Oreos, Ritz, Premiums, Chips Ahoy, Triscuits, Wheat Thins, whatever. All Nabisco product. And I would go to Walmarts, Albertsons, Smiths, neighborhood Walmarts, whatever the case is. And I started doing my thing. I was front facing a lot of the products and stocking and I noticed that one of the items that doesn't normally sell too well seemed to be really full. And I was like, well, this doesn't look right. And so I kind of, like, pushed on it back a little bit, and it started falling over instead of pushing back. And I was like, what the heck? And so I looked behind it, and there's this pizza box from Little Caesars just chilling it behind the product in the shelf. And there's like 2 slices of pizza left and a chicken bone, like a chicken wing bone. I was like, what the heck is this?
Oh my god. That's
that one
so
was weird.
Wait, what store was this again?
This was in a Walmart.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm so...
Yeah. Yeah, it was about 3 a.m. I was at a Walmart, and there's just a pizza box with 2 slices of pizza left in it. And they were, like, old, too. They were not fresh. It was like, it had been sitting there for a hot minute.
It's not hot and ready.
Yeah, no longer hot, no longer ready.
My favorite part is, like, the chicken bone. That literally just made me laugh
was
so
really
hard.
random. Because I don't even think Little Caesars has chicken wings, right?
I think they do, if I'm correct.
Oh, do they? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that
but
makes
like
more sense then. Yeah, there was just one in there. I was like, bro, this is weird.
That's literally so hilarious, dude. That reminds me of this one time I was working at a gas station, and it was not uncommon for me to be the only person on the gas station part. It was a gas station that was connected to a restaurant.
Okay.
So it wasn't really uncommon for me to be the only person working the gas station side, while there was like plenty of people working at this other side.
Mhm.
So we both shared bathrooms, and this building is owned by the same people, and we're we're basically like employed by the same people. We just do different jobs. So it would always turn out to be me having to like clean the bathrooms, which really sucked
You
because
hate to see it.
yeah, as I said, it's literally just me on that side. And at the time I was like 18 or 19, which is kind of sketch because I kind of worked late into the night,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it scary for me because I was just like literally young.
Yeah.
But so one day I'm working, doing whatever, trying to keep up with stocking things, and a guy comes over from the fast food side and he's like, "Hey Alexa, can you just like check the bathroom for me?" And I knew damn well some person went over there and was like, "Yeah, this bathroom is fucking disgusting." So
No.
instead of him just like going in there and cleaning it, he expected me to go in there and clean it and like watch the registers while I'm cleaning the bathroom. And he didn't tell me what was in there, but I went in there and I was so disgusted.
What was in there?
First of all, there's vomit all over the toilet,
Oh, gross.
and somebody took a big fat explosive shit in the middle of the floor. Like I literally cannot comprehend how this person held that much shit and diarrhea in their fucking body. But it was everywhere.
No.
It was all over the floor, like near the drain. It was so disgusting and it stunk. And I asked one of the people who was at the fast food side, "Hey, will you watch the register?" And they had the audacity to give me attitude about that.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Was
and
it the same person?
no, it was somebody
Or was it
else.
different? Got you.
They were all very weird about that. They like did not want to help at all. They never cleaned the bathrooms, even though they were like shared bathrooms. And this was the men's bathroom. I was like the only
Oh,
girl there. And they were
yeah.
all guys.
That's messed up.
It was. They were literally just like lazy, so it frustrated me. But I had to clean it up. I had to clean up some person's like throw up and shit. And it was cold.
Ew.
It was disgusting, dude. I literally have the worst luck with bathrooms. Like there's this other time I was also working at a gas station. It was a different one, but this gas station was very strict about you having your phone or whatever, and
Okay.
I needed a break and they would not give me a break, so I kind of just like snuck into the bathroom for a few minutes, and I went all the way down to like a far stall in the back because there was a lot of stalls. And I just like went on my phone, and there's nobody in there, and I kind of just went on my phone for like a few minutes so I could like relax.
Right.
And I hear this woman come in, and she's like frantic. She
Oh
is
no.
freaking out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And I'm just like quiet because I don't want her to like know I'm in here.
Right.
So she like sits down, and the second she pulls her pants down, it's like she's like explosive shitting, and it is the funniest thing ever. And not only that, she is moaning. She would go like, "Oh yeah,
Oh no.
oh yeah," and I literally cannot believe this. I'm sitting in this stall and I'm trying so hard not to laugh. There were literal tears streaming down my face. I'm like, I literally cannot believe this. Like, this is a fucking joke. I cannot believe that this is happening to me. So I'm just like sitting there being quiet, and she's going on. Like, it's probably been 2 minutes, and she's just like shitting to her heart's delight, dude. And she's moaning. It probably feels so good.
Right.
And so I'm just like quiet, and finally I can't hold it in anymore, and I'm like and I like pretend to cough to cover up my laugh, and she's like, oh, I didn't realize anybody else was in here.
Oh my gosh.
I was so horrified. I was just like, it's okay. And I like ran out of the bathroom really quick. I really hope she didn't like recognize my shoes or anything. Oh my god, that would be so awkward.
Yeah. Was she in like one of the front stalls that you definitely had to pass her?
Yeah.
Oh no.
It was awful, dude.
I wonder what she ate. Maybe the same thing those other people did that you had to clean that bathroom.
Dude, I guess. It was nasty.
That's insane. My turn for a story. Okay. This was another time I was working for Nabisco, and I had gotten to a store, and this was probably about 4 a.m. Gotten to a Smith's, and when you drive to a store, at least what I did would I would write down in a paper notepad the time it took to drive, because I would get paid between stores for drive time. And I wrote down my stuff, got out of the car. I always lock my car through with that little lock button you get, and then close the door. And I started walking to the store with my little step ladder in my hand. And I was like, oh, wait, I forgot my phone in the car. Let me go get that.
Oh,
and then
no.
I realized, oh, wait, my keys are in the car too.
Oh, no.
Fantastic. And so this was a time that I was going through a pretty hard depression in my life too. This was not a good time. And so I was like, well, this is just great. And so then I had to walk up to the lady at the Smiths, and I was like, hey, I just locked both of my phone and my keys in my car. Can I please use the phone to call my parents? And so I was like, it's 4 a.m. My dad's probably awake right now. He's always up super early. And so I called the house phone, and which we had a landline at the time. We don't anymore, but I called that phone. My dad picked up. He was like, hello? And I was like, hey, Dad, this is David. How you doing? And so I told him the whole situation. He was like, dude, that sucks, bro. And so he came, and he had to call a locksmith. And we eventually got it, but yeah. And then later that day, I made kind of a little short film about it. And I just basically made a sketch about it. And that's, weirdly enough, that's kind of how I got recognized by my current boss that I do for wedding videography.
Aw.
So that's kind of cool. So there was
That's
there's
cool.
kind of a light side to that. But yeah, it's definitely not a good situation to happen, but a good outcome, I guess.
Yeah. I've been there before. I've literally locked my keys so many times in my car. It's not even funny. My mom, oh my gosh, there was a period of time she hated me because like anytime I was calling her at work, it was to get my keys out of my car. But now I can't do that in my current car, so that's awesome.
That's good.
Oh my goodness. So it mostly happened at the job I was talking about earlier when the people came in for the funeral. Both times, yeah, it was the same restaurant. So that would always happen at that specific restaurant. I don't know what it was. My keys, they just like never stayed on me. It was so bad. But oh my gosh, another experience that happened when I was working there. I have so many crazy stories just working from that one place.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, it's crazy. So it was like kind of a busy night, and it was the beginning of some of the other people's shifts, and I like really had to go to the bathroom. So this restroom only had 2 different stalls. So there was like one big stall and then one small stall. And at the time I was 17 at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like fairly young, and I'm like on the toilet, but I mean, what type of like fucking weirdo like doesn't sit on the toilet with their phone in their hand? You know what I mean? So I'm
Okay.
this makes sense. Sorry. So I got my phone in my hand, and I'm like sitting on the toilet, and of course I'm just like looking at my phone, but I'm shitting. And the girl next to me, I think she was like a coworker of mine. She's like, changing. So I'm doing my thing and I'm like waiting for it to pass. And this woman starts like shaking my door. And she's like, I see you in there. Get off your phone. Some people have to go to the bathroom. And she's like freaking out at me. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm going to the bathroom. She's like, I see you in there. I see you in there. You're not going to the bathroom. You're on your phone. And I was like, ma'am, I'm going to the bathroom. She's like, yeah, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
Do you want to see inside this toilet right now?
I'm like, bitch, you're peeping on a minor in a fucking restroom.
Yeah. And like that, I was about to mention that. I was like, she's looking at you in there? She sees you? That's crazy.
Like, what a fucking psycho, dude. I'm like sitting here minding my own business, literally shitting. She's like, I see you in there. And then she's like shaking the door and like pounding on it. And it's just like the typical like bathroom door. It's not even like, it's like a stall. So you can like see above it, below it, like in there.
Right.
So she's like staring at me through the stall. I'm like, ma'am, why are you watching me shit? Like, that's weird. And I told my manager, and she didn't even do anything about it.
Oh my gosh. Was it a customer that did that?
It was a customer. I'm like, I could have called the cops on you, bro.
That's insane.
The entitlement. It was like definitely a Karen, like before Karens were like Karens.
Defined as Karens.
It was insane. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone, dude. Like, you're psycho. Like, she was raging for me taking a shit. Like, calm down, my God.
That's insane to me. Who does that?
A literal psychopath, dude.
I mean, sometimes when I'm walking in the bathroom, sometimes you accidentally catch eye contact between those, like, the door and the stall as you're walking by, and that's always super awkward, but you know damn well she was straight up staring at you.
Oh, I know she was. I'm like, can you just leave me alone? And she had kids and stuff like that too. I'm like, how embarrassing is that? Like, imagine if I confronted you in front of your husband and your kids. Like, how embarrassing would that be for you?
Exactly.
Which is, okay, that reminds me of this story. I'm sorry. So, I was working at my first job is a fast food job, and this woman came through the drive-thru, and she was being a bitch. She was being such a bitch to me for no reason. And the way that our restaurant worked is if you had an order that was over, I think it was over $25, you had to sign for the order. So I had her receipt on a clipboard, and I handed it to her out the window, and she takes it and she like yanks it from my hand, and she starts like scribbling down. She's like, here you go. She like shoves it in my face, and I'm literally 16. I just turned 16. So she's like, this is a child. She's like being mean to.
Yeah.
So she had ordered like quite a lot of food. So one of the things she ordered was like a big bag of tea that I had to fill up for her. So I went over and I was like telling my coworker, I was like, that lady in the window, like she did this to me. And I like mimicked what she did, and she was watching me in the window do that.
No.
She was like watching me mimic her being a fucking bitch. And she started raging, dude. I gave her tea. She's like, I saw what you did there. And I was like, you saw me what? And she's like, I saw you mimic me. And I was like, okay. And she's like screaming at me. She's like, you're a stupid fucking bitch. And she's like screaming at me. I'm 16 years old. And she's like screeching at me in my face. And I'm like, ma'am, what? And she's like, I'm upset that my children had to watch me yell at you like that. I'm so upset.
All right, lady. You didn't have to yell.
That was your choice, though. That was your choice to be a bitch. I wasn't being a bitch. I'm doing my fucking job, and you're being rude to me. So I was just like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, have a nice day. And I handed her food that my manager had just packed and like gave to me. And I handed her food, and she's like, fuck you. And I was like, have a nice day. And she drove off, and she like scrapes the side of her car a little bit. And it was so funny. And
deserved.
Yep. And like literally 10 minutes later, my manager gets a phone call, and she's just like, hi, I was in there and I'm like missing half of my food. The manager is like, well, what was your order number? What's the number in the bag? And the lady told her the number, and she's like, that's weird. I bagged that. My manager was like, I bagged that. It should have everything in there. She's like, well, it's not. And half of the stuff in my bag was broken. So she's like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to give me a refund, or can I come pick up the rest of the food? And so my manager's like, you can just come pick up the rest of the food, I guess.
Yeah.
And so my manager comes up to the front, and the lady was literally such a chicken shit. She didn't even come back. It was her mom.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Her whole ass granny mom came in. And she was just like, can I just talk to the worker who upset my daughter? And I was just like, oh my God, okay. And so I come over there and I was like, yes. Again, I'm literally 16 and I just got fucking bitched at, so I'm upset. And she's like, my daughter was just frustrated that you weren't being very nice to her, and I know how my daughter gets. And in my head, I'm like, you know how your daughter gets? Then why are you lecturing me?
Yeah.
She's like, I know that she can be a handful sometimes, but you know, when you work in customer service, you have to be respectful. Ma'am, I'm being respectful just because I did exactly what she did. And she was staring at me through the window. Whose fault is that?
Exactly.
I'm like unapologetic. So I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like upset because she's trying to like lecture me because her daughter is like literally a bitch and she knows that. I'm like, okay, thanks.
When you're a mom and you know your daughter's a bitch and you still lecture people about it, that's crazy. I know.
I'm like, that is a failure on your behalf. You raised her wrong. You raised her to think that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she wouldn't be doing that if you did.
She's probably one of those moms that was like, oh, my daughter could do nothing wrong.
Exactly. It's just like, maybe your daughter should take some accountability for herself and come in.
Exactly.
And be an adult and not scream at a child, at a minor.
Absolutely. That's wild. And that's, I mean, you hate to see it, but that's honestly, I feel like a lot of customers when it comes to fast food and retail.
Honestly, people really need to respect these like service workers. I mean, I know people always make jokes like, these McDonald's workers think they deserve $15 an hour. Ah! And it's just like, okay. And then they always like complain about them. I'm like, who's gonna serve you your food?
Right, exactly.
It's just like, why are you being so disrespectful to these people? And it's like, they are providing you a service. There is like one specific type of person or like job that I could never do. The thought of it just makes me so anxious. Like a Starbucks barista, they're doing God's work. That makes me so nervous even thinking about. People are so mean to them for no reason.
Really?
Yes.
I never really go to Starbucks, so I've never really seen it.
I've witnessed it a lot. I love a good Starbucks drink, so especially lately I've been going there a lot. Oh, it's like so good. So good. But yeah, I've been rambling on as I did before. Let me hear one of your stories.
Okay. Yeah, we can move on to one of mine. This is also back when I worked for Nabisco. I was at a Walmart. I was at my last store, and it was probably about 6 a.m. And this dude coming in, he came into the aisle, and I was stocking some of the Triscuits. And this dude was Russian, and he came up to me. He was like, "Brother, what kind of snack do you recommend?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "What are you looking for in general?" And this dude was like hardcore. This dude was like buff. He's got like black slicked back hair. Ooh. He had a bloody shirt.
Oh my God.
He had a white shirt on.
What?
And it was like a dress shirt that had the sleeves halfway rolled up. The back of it had just this giant blood stain on it. And I was like, this dude definitely has a body in his trunk right now. And I better not lead him astray for the snacks I might recommend because I might join them. And so I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. What are you in the mood for? I was like, you trying to get something sweet, something savory? I'm just trying to like be super nice to this guy, and I could definitely tell he's not very good with English. And so I was like, these ones are really good. I personally like these Triscuits over here, even though all Triscuits generally kind of taste like cardboard.
Yes, but, I hate them hoes.
Yeah,
they're
Triscuits
so
are
gross.
Pretty bad. He wound up walking away with a box of rosemary Triscuits, and I was like, maybe that wasn't...
What an old person food, dude.
But I was like, hey, because I didn't I really was trying to get him out of this aisle. I was like, I don't want to die right now. But yeah, I was like, here, just take these ones. These are good. And so I was like, I'm going to finish up my work as fast as possible so he doesn't come back. And so, yeah, that was definitely a weird experience from Walmart. There's quite a few weird experiences with customers in the past, just specifically at Walmart's.
Yeah.
But that one is probably the weirdest, just because, again, he had the really bloody shirt. It was just like, what the heck? Why are you walking in public with this?
You're like, yeah, let me mind my own business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was not about to pry.
There's been a few times at work I'm just like, I'm gonna mind my own business. Like, there was this one time I was in the bathroom and I think I was just like cleaning some things. And I look in the garbage, because this is where all of the people will like shoplift their stuff. They'll just take it to the bathroom, throw out like the big container, and just keep everything that was in the container. And I found... Sorry, let me preface with the fact that I worked at like an office store.
Okay.
So you could buy like a lot of office materials there, like paperwork, stuff like that. I found the empty container for divorce papers.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Good for her.
They sold this at the office supply?
Yeah, it's like a template.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, they had like divorce papers, wills, stuff like that.
Wow.
They were expensive too. I think that one was probably like $75.
Dang.
Yeah.
I don't blame people for shoplifting that.
I know. I'm just like, good for you, queen, but damn. I feel
Yeah.
bad for you. Like, that's gonna be like...
Not only in a tight bind financially, but in a tight bind emotionally, probably.
Exactly.
That's terrible.
Like, it was very sad, dude.
That is pretty sad.
Dude, there was this other time I was working at a craft store. Not gonna say which one, but I was working at this craft store and it's Christmas time, you know, all the people are going out buying gifts, and this like really old woman comes up in my line and she has a whole cart full of stuff. So I just like start scanning it and she gets a phone call. And I don't know why, but like anytime old people get phone calls at the register, they always take it. They like never wait. It's like whatever. But she takes it and she's like, hello. Oh, hi, how are you? And she like waits for the other person to talk, and her face, wait, she was like smiling and it dropped so quick. She's like, oh, are you serious?
Uh-oh.
She's like starting to like freak out. I felt so bad for her. She's like sobbing. She's like, no, tell me it isn't true. No.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like bawling her eyes out. And from what I gathered from the conversation, somebody called her to tell her that her best friend died.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I had to witness the whole thing. It was so devastating to watch. Like, I could not even imagine being her. Like, she's like sobbing her eyes out, dude. She's like, no, I hadn't
so
heard
sad.
from her. I didn't know. Oh, I should have called her. And it was like so devastating. I felt so bad for her. I gave her my employee discount. I felt so bad.
That's so nice of you.
I was like, no. I felt horrible for her.
Wow.
She bought a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, what a time to find that news out just in the middle of shopping.
It was literally so sad. Like, I like wanted to cry because just like seeing the look on her face, it was really sad, dude.
That's so sad. That's crazy.
I know.
Poor woman. I hope she's doing okay. And you said this was around Christmas time?
Yeah.
Oh, what a time to ruin Christmas.
I know. Thankfully, that's like really the only sad interaction I've really had at that specific job. There was another time. Usually, instead of being on register, I would be doing like sales associate stuff, or sometimes I would do like the kids crafts, which I enjoyed. I would always do it on the weekends. So
Okay.
yeah, so this one time this woman came in with her two kids, and they were really sweet, you know. Sometimes you get those little kids that would come in and they would be so disrespectful. Like, you'd be doing one craft and they'd be trying to do the next and do whatever they want. It would get a little bit frustrating, but these kids were really nice. So usually the parents would just drop the kids off in the back and like, oh, I'm gonna go shopping, just like in the store, like, oh, I'll go shopping in the store or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Like, we'll be back here. The craft takes about like 30 minutes, whatever. So this woman comes to the back and she's like, hey, I'm just gonna like drop my kids off here for a minute and I'm gonna go, okay? And I was like, okay, like thinking, yeah, like she's just gonna go shop, whatever.
Right.
So like 30 minutes passes and I'm like, hey, like, where's your mama? Because the little girl had a phone. It was like a boy and a girl. The little girl had a phone. She's like, oh, she went to go pick up her boyfriend.
Oh, no.
I was like, what? I'm like, say psych right now. She's like, yeah, he lives in blank, which was a town that was literally like 20 minutes away, dude, from where we were.
Oh, my gosh. But she just left her kids there.
She left her kids there, dude. Like, I don't understand her thought process behind that. I could be like a child molester or something. You don't even know.
Yeah.
And you just like dropped your kids off with me. I'm glad I'm not too. Like, ugh. Like the thought of that is like so disgusting to me. Like, how could you literally just like drop your kids off at a store?
At a store just to have a store employee watch them? That's insane to me. Like, why not just bring your kids?
I had to tell my manager. It was like crazy. And I was worried they were going to get mad at me. And like, I had no idea. So she finally came back like an hour after that. So she's gone for like an hour and a half.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm glad that she came back. Like, that's awful.
Were her kids okay? Were they like crying? Or were they just like, yeah, this is every day?
They were like, yeah, this is every day, which kind of makes me sad because you should not
no.
be treating your kids like that and like leaving them in random positions to where they could be like vulnerable to predators.
Exactly.
Not to be mean, but she's really lucky that she was dealing with me and not somebody else. Because I have the common decency to watch your kids.
Yeah.
The next Joe Smo who could be in there wouldn't, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'd just be like, I'm going to just go do my job.
Or you could have had the cops called on you, and that would just make everything so much worse.
Oh, yeah. Honestly. Yeah, so, okay, I actually have a couple of stories from boot camp.
Okay.
So this first one, I kind of need to explain how boot camp works. I was in the Navy, and for the first 5 days in boot camp, they're called P days or processing days. And this is where you get your clothes, your ID, you know, the haircut where they shave you bald, all that kind of good stuff. And you're put into a, I guess, compartment is what they call it.
Uh-huh.
And you don't meet your RDCs yet. Your RDCs are your recruit division commanders. They're commonly known as like drill instructors, like in other branches and things like that. So that it's like the equivalent in the Navy is the RDC. And so I was chilling there, and they said, okay, you're going to meet your RDCs today. And we're all sitting on the floor, and they're like, you do not look at them. You just stare straight forward until they tell you what to do. And so we're just sitting there, and it's dead silent. And there's 3 of them. They all walk in. There's 2 petty officer first classes and a chief. And those were our RDCs. And they walk in and they say their oath. And I'm just sitting there like terrified. I was like, this is going to be insane. Because when they said, you do not look at them, I thought this was going to be like life or death kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they said their oath. And I remember the chief, she's like 5'0". And she said, your boot camp experience starts now. And then they all start like screaming like, get the fuck up, get up right now, get on the tow line. And the tow line was something where you stand in front of the beds, and there's like the line on the tile that you just put your toes up to. And I couldn't get to mine fast enough, so I just stood at some random bed. And you ever have that feeling when you go into a cold pool and your vision does something weird, or you have that like that involuntary, like you can't breathe for a sec? I had that exact feeling when they started screaming. I was like, uh-oh. And so this was probably about 2 weeks later. My bunkmate, he volunteered to be one of the laundry guys. And he went up to somebody because they had a large dark stain in their underwear.
Oh no.
And I'm going to just say this dude's name. His name was Fernando. And my bunkmate was like, Fernando, what the heck, dude? Like, what's this stain in your underwear? And he was like, oh yeah, you know the day we met our RDCs, right? He was like, yeah. And he was like, and they started screaming at us. He was like, oh no. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I shit myself. And he said it like, he was like, what? Like, you didn't? Like,
No.
And what was weird to me was that this was 2 weeks after, and his underwear was never noticed by any of the laundry guys before.
Wow.
So he probably just kept it for 2
That's
weeks.
so embarrassing, dude.
Poop in his underwear. Yeah, and it's the thing about boot camp is that you can't really throw away your underwear because you have a specific amount, and the RDCs eventually like count them to make sure you have a specific amount at all times, and so he had to just keep his poopy underwear with him. And they were tidy whities. They were
Oh no.
as white as could be, just underwear. It was hilarious to me.
That's so sick, dude.
Yeah, so fun. I felt bad for him. He was the first guy to get like really sick in the whole division too. Yeah, he just was not having a good time.
Oh no. There was this girl that I worked with. This is a little bit off topic, but I'm not gonna say where. I'm gonna say very vague about this because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but this girl was literally a compulsive liar.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna tell y'all some stuff that she told me in our time working together. Like, no hate to her. Like, I hope she's doing fine or whatever, but like, this stuff she said, I'm like, this is not even true. Like, obviously not true. So,
Right.
to kind of ease into the stuff she says, there's this one time, and I come from Texas, and we get tornadoes here sometimes. I mean...
Do you live in Tornado Alley?
Yeah.
Got you.
So it's like, you can get tornadoes here, but I mean, like, you have to have the right weather, and you can usually tell it's gonna be tornado weather. So
yeah, you'd be like, ooh, a tornado's brewing.
Yeah, so me and this girl, we're at work one day, and it's just me and her. We look out the window, and we're like, oh, that's like kind of windy outside. Like, definitely not really like tornado weather. It's just like windy.
Right.
And I go away, and I start doing some other thing, and she's like, oh my god, I just saw a tornado touchdown across the street. Okay, the way we worked, we were on one side of the highway, and then there was like another side of the highway where there was like other businesses. So we were like on the one side, and she was saying that it touched down in the parking lot, like across the highway.
Across the highway?
Yeah.
What?
I'm like, girl, that did not happen. Stop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone would know about it.
Yeah, we would be freaking out right now. And I was like, okay. And then there was this other time where she was wiping down the windows, and she had to kind of squat to wipe the windows or whatever.
Great.
And somebody had made some comment to her about it, and she's like, oh, it's okay. I do 500 squats a day.
500?
If you looked at this woman, no, she did not. I'm sorry. Like, not being like that. Like, not to, like, body shame her or anything, but I mean, like, if she did 500 squats a day, she would be, like, muscular. She was not.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Not muscular.
It was a very weird thing, and she would, like, lie about stuff like that, too. Like, we were talking to our coworker one time, and he was like, yeah, like, I was doing this, like, weightlifting class, and I was doing whatever, and she's like, that's nothing. I can deadlift 600 pounds or something like that. No,
what?
She said she could bench 600 pounds. I'm like, girl, stop.
What the heck?
Stop. I'm like, you are lying. I'm like, no, you cannot.
That's just embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. I'm like, I know what that is, and no, you cannot do that. It was just like a very weird thing to lie about. Like, none of this stuff mattered. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's just when you lie about little things like that. It's just super weird to me. I knew people who did that as well.
Like, some of the more concerning things that she would like lie about. Like, there was this one time. I don't even know why she was even saying this. Like, it was such a weird thing to even say to someone. She was like, yeah, there was this one time I was in the park with my dogs, and I was being chased by a rabid squirrel, but it's okay.
What?
She said a pack of rabid squirrels.
A pack? Oh my gosh, that's worse.
So she's like, it's okay though. So I shot them with a shotgun and then cut their heads off with a razor blade. I'm like, why? First of all, no. Second of all, why would you say that? Why did you feel the need to tell me that?
Yeah, that is concerning.
I was like, okay, please stop.
We have a female Ted Bundy on the loose right now.
I know. I was like, I don't even think she's like actually did it or anything. Like, the last story I'll tell you about her was she told me that this one time she was riding scooters in downtown with her grandpa, and these dogs started chasing her, and she ran into the road with her scooter. Like, she scooted into the road.
Right.
And a bus came towards her, but she fell just in time, and the bus like went over her and hit her, but it was okay because she like fell down in time. And she said her grandpa didn't even care and just kept going.
What the heck?
Like, it was like such a weird thing to lie about. Like, it was just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hate when people do that. It's just like they make up these stories that have no, it's like, okay, what do you want me to do with this information?
it was just very random. I was like, okay, thanks.
That's insane to me.
I'm like, you're a good storyteller, but okay. You should tell your last story, and then I'll tell my last story. How about that?
Okay. I'll lump my last story in with another one because I have two more.
Okay.
I wanted to mention this one because I just thought it was really funny. It's not very long.
Okay.
This is when I worked for Nabisco. I had gotten to one of my Walmarts. It was probably about 2:30 in the morning, super early. And I had gotten there just in time because I had witnessed a naked man being dragged out of Walmart by the police.
Oh no.
Just screaming. It's so funny to me. But yeah, no, I went into the store. I was like, is everything okay? And the security guard is like, I don't want to talk about it, dude. And I was like, that's hilarious. I could not stop laughing while I was working. But yeah, so that's my short one. My next one, it actually, I don't know why I remember the date, but it was on July 2nd, 2017.
Okay.
I was on my way to work. I had gotten up. It was a Sunday, I believe. It was either a Saturday or Sunday. I only worked weekends for Nabisco. And I was like, bro, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go. I was super tired. It was really early in the morning. And so I was going to pull out of the street, kind of by my street, and there was a stop sign. But this dude is kind of close. And I was like, there's no one else on the road. I'm going to just go. And it was kind of close, but like not that close. And I passed him and I looked. I saw it was a police officer. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And then I look at my rear view mirror and he flips an aggressive U-ey. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh,
He's going
no.
to pull me over for not stopping fully at the stop sign. And so I'm going the speed limit. I even turned the radio down. I was like on my best behavior. And we started going down this hill. The second I hit 31, because the speed limit was 30, I hit 31. Lights came on. I was like, okay, yeah, it's probably just stopped me because of the stop sign thing. And we're sitting there for a while, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then like 5 other cop cars show up, and they're kind of like, I guess, kind of blocking me in. But I was like, okay, it's 2 in the morning. They probably have nothing else to do, so I was like, okay, it's whatever.
That's not normal.
Yeah, but I was just like, I didn't really think too much of it. And then he went on his like intercom thing, and I didn't hear him because my windows were up. So I rolled the window down. I was like, can you repeat that? And he definitely didn't hear me because there was just this long, awkward silence. And so I was like, I don't know what else to say. Do I just say it? I was like, can you repeat that? And then I remember hearing, come out of the car with your hands up and nothing in your hands. And I was like,
oh my God.
Okay, this is weird. And so I opened the door, and the second my foot touches the ground, I swear it sounded like an action movie. There was like 9 police officers. You hear guns clicking. I hear like, hands up right now, hands up. And I was like, oh God.
Oh my
so like
God.
my hands were up. And I was like, this is a little aggressive for not stopping fully at a stop sign. I'm still not getting what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And so then they were just like, lift up your shirt. And then I lifted it up, and they're like, turn around. They were checking to see if I had any weapons or anything. And so then I had to like put my hands on top of my head, interlock my fingers, walk backwards towards them slowly, get on my knees. And then I was just like, officer, I have no idea what's going on. And the dude's like, based on like the description, you're probably not the guy we're looking for, but we'll figure it out. And I had to tell him I had a box cutter in my pocket because I worked for Nabisco, and I was always cutting boxes open with tape and stuff. And so we got that figured out, and turns out there was someone who stole a car exactly like mine. I had a Pontiac G6. They stole a Pontiac G6 and then also kidnapped someone.
Oh my God.
because they had kept asking me while they were searching me. They were like, "Is anyone else in the car?" And they asked me like 4 times, and I kept saying no. I was like, "No, there's no one else in the car." But I don't know. It was really weird, and they were all nice about it afterwards. After they figured out I'm not the dude, which
Yeah, of course.
yeah, except for one lady, she was being a bitch about it. She was like, "Ugh, just stop wasting our time." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ask to be pulled over and harassed? No." But yeah, and like for the fact they didn't run my plate beforehand was weird to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just really a weird situation. I've been told by a lot of people that I should have sued.
You should have.
But I feel like that would have caused a lot of stress on my part. So
Maybe they
I
should
didn't
do their
that.
fucking job correctly, and then they would be fine.
Yeah, honestly.
That's so stupid to me. Like, the fact that she's mad at you. Man.
Yeah, she was like upset with me. I was like, what? It's not cool.
Okay, Officer Poopy Pants, maybe you should do the job correctly the first time, and we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
Speaking of just, like, people who are, like, being shitty for, like, no reason, I was working at the office supply store, and
Got you.
this guy came in, and it was very typical for, like, older people to come in dressed nice, because it was an office supply store, you know, people are buying
sure.
stuff for their businesses, so it wasn't,
Right.
like, weird to see a guy, like, dressed, like, really nicely coming in. And he came up to the register, and I was like, oh, maybe he's doing a return or whatever, and he's like, do you have any applications? And I was like, no, sorry, we don't. He's like, you don't have any applications? I'm like, no, we have them online. Like,
Yeah.
if you are anybody who's, like, tried to get a job at, like, a big retail store like that, you know, like, you're doing it online. Like, they don't do paper
Yeah.
applications anymore for the most
Exactly.
part. So
Yeah.
it's just like, no, sorry, like, you have to do it online. And he's like, online? Why can't I just do it here now? I was like, well, we don't have any paper applications. I'm sorry, but I'll do you a favor and I'll write down the website and, like, what to do. And he looks at me and he's like, that's way too confusing.
What?
I was like, I'm sorry?
Okay.
And I wish I was not the only person who had witnessed this. Ugh, the irritating look on his face. Oh my god.
Oh no.
He goes, psh, and, like, slams his hand and he's like, forget it. He does, like, that little, like, wave thing where he, like, waves. He's like, forget it. And he walks out and he goes to his Porsche. Son, what?
Why would he be applying there anyway?
That's my question. I'm like, why are you... Well, first of all, obviously you need a job that bad if you're coming to an office supply store to, like, ask for jobs.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're gonna be picky about it? My guy.
Right. What the heck?
It was so bizarre to me. I'm like, dude, okay. It was
Like looking around for a hidden camera or something. Am I on Punked?
It was, like, so stupid. I would just get, like, really mean customers there sometimes. Like, there was this guy that came in, and I kind of have a slight lazy eye. If any of you guys know me, I do. I'm sorry. And it gets kind of worse if I'm not wearing my glasses because I can't really focus well. So
Right.
I was checking this guy out one time, and I wasn't wearing my glasses. And the audacity of this man, he looks at me and he's like, who are you looking at?
That's so mean.
He's like, I can't tell where you're looking. Are you looking at me or are you looking over there? Because you're looking in both directions.
That's so mean.
I could feel the tears, like, welling up in my eyes. I was like, I'm just looking at you. And he's like, well, it doesn't look like it. I was like, no, okay. And, like, right when he was done, he walked out. I started, like, bursting in tears. I had to go back to the break room and, like, calm myself down. It was humiliating. I was so embarrassed.
That dude sucks.
I know.
The fact that people just do that to others on a daily, like, he probably just tries to put others down on a daily.
It was very rude, and it really hurt my feelings. I'm like, I know that I have this issue, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to point it out.
Exactly. That's so messed up.
It's whatever, though. I mean, those are just some, like, crazy stories I've had. I mean, that's just how it is. I have way more than that, so maybe one day we'll do a part 2.
Yeah, I definitely have some more as well. But yeah, we should definitely revisit this at some time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, so that wraps up about today's episode. Sorry it did run a little long, so we're going to go ahead and skip the segment. We didn't get any other submissions anyway, so we're just going to kind of end the episode here. But thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you want. And also, please, if you can, send in some submissions for us to talk about if you want any advice on anything, or if you just want some general discussion on anything. We're open to talk about it.
Yeah, we've been getting some really good submissions from you guys, and we'd love to see some more, so do not be shy to send some in. But
anyway, guys, remember, stay sunny.
Stay sunny.